Are you ready, Mr. Williams?
At your convenience, Your Honor.
Clerk, call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy C. Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Marty Van Ravensway, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4. Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be delivered by our own T.C. Webster. After the invocation, please remain standing for the pledges.
Father God, we come to you this morning to give you thanks. Father, we give you thanks for your oneness. God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, and simultaneously one God. We thank you that your ways are not our ways. We thank you for the provisions you continuously make through this court for our humanitarian and infrastructure needs in times of a depressed economy. Lord, we thank you that the decision made by budget and administrative staff has allotted for us to sustain jobs, and layoffs are not imminent. We thank you for those that you work through and within this court. And most of all, Lord, we ask that you continuously work through them internally, and Lord, let it be eternal. In Jesus' name we ask it all. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
TC, thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we have no announcements this morning.
I'm sure J.D. won't believe that when we tell him that he missed the 1 week in at least 13 years that we haven't had any. I know you're blown away over here. I'll tell you what, we're going to.
Here's.
No announcements, huh? Okay, well, let me get caught up here because I never expected that to happen.
I never expected A&M to lose so bad either.
Well, I'm sure we'll discuss that.
I'm afraid you're correct.
We're going to discuss that a little bit more fully, I'm sure, in a few moments. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of September the 29th.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. This is the first Tuesday of the month, and as such, we have our employee recognition. It is also the first Tuesday of a new year, and I'm assuming that that is why we have so many folks that we're recognizing today, especially in the 20-plus year category. We actually had 21 people who are celebrating either 20, 25, 30, or 35 years with Tarrant County. So we'll begin with the 5-year employees, and as I call your name, please stand and remain standing until I get to the end of that particular category. As I have said oftentimes before, if it sounds like it, remotely sounds like it, stand up. Beginning with our 5-year employees, Jenna Lee Broadax, Sheriff Confinement. Eric Curtis, Sheriff Patrol. Diana Davis, Information Technologies. Whew. Of course, that was a pretty easy one. Eric Curtis was pretty easy, too. Manuelo Gonzalez, Public Health. Esther Group, Sheriff Confinement. David Heinbaugh, Public Health. Doris Hunt, Juvenile Services. Bill Jones, Jr., Sheriff Confinement. Ron Knight, District Attorney's Office. Sandra Mendez, Public Health. Welcome. Holly Plants, CSCD. Cynthia Rangel, Human Services. Christy Raiga, County Clerk's Office. Did I messed? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you.
Teresa Tanez, Sheriff Confinement. You guys give me a break up here. Jason Ware, Sheriff Courts. Don Wells, District Clerk Support. Tracy Willis, Public Health. And the one that I forgot, Jill Vliet, CSCD. Was Jill here? Well, we got her anyway. Let's give all these 5-year employees again, thank you all very much. Now we'll do our 10-year employees. Robert Brown, Sheriff Crime Scene. Kimberly Crisp, Sheriff Confinement. Daniel Estrada, Sheriff Courts. Pamela Flo, Elections. Christina Glenn, Domestic Relations. Christy. Cynthia Holloway, County Clerk's Office. Elizabeth Penskowski, Public Health. You people who are laughing one of these days.
Good thing she's not here, though.
Hazel Shelton, Information Technology. Cynthia Smith, Domestic Relations.
Very good, Judge. That's good.
Kendra Turpin, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 2. And Jason Wheeler, Sheriff Confinement. Let's give our 10-year employees. Now for our 15-year employees. Paul Brinkley, Sheriff Courts. Clarence Carson, Sheriff Courts. Sharon Downs, Human Services. Donna Fenton, Tax Office. Gregory Green, Sheriff Booking. Richard Krager, Sheriff Booking. Milton, is it Cusser? Cooser, Sheriff Patrol. Cusser's what I'm liable to be doing by the end of this thing. John Leggett, Sheriff Confinement. Cheryl Norwood, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4. Laura Phillips, Domestic Relations. Larry Sechrist, Sheriff Booking. Edmund Tolmott, Information Technology. Okay, let's give our 15-year employees. And now for our 20-plus years, our first is Mike Amador from Facilities. There's Mike. Started at the Tarrant County Convention Center. Probably one of, I think you said about maybe 2 folks that are still left around that had been with the Convention Center. Went from there to the facilities management area as the custodial supervisor and is now the assistant director, basically overall support services. I always ask him about the more memorable moments, and most of his seem to center somewhere around that convention center. And we can just imagine some of the events that have come and gone. And he did talk about the fact that, as you'll recall, at the convention center, for a number of years, we've always had hockey in there. And so part of having hockey in any event like that is the opportunity to drive the Zamboni. And it's also the opportunity to train folks to drive the Zamboni. And he recalled one time when he was training this person, and they had forgot to turn on the auger, and so they were going down, and it just wasn't working. And he came out and was running behind them, and he was running behind them, and it was not just real wet ice at that point, so he was okay. Well, he caught the guy, and he finally got it all worked out, and then he started over to the other side, and he was running the other way, and boom. And so there's just no way gracefully to get up and to get out of there when you know that everybody in the whole convention center is watching you. So he did take his bow, and then he very gently walked off the ice from that point forward. One of the other things that he mentioned as a memorable moment was the 1992 when they played the Davis Cup tennis match there, and he remembers that very well. When I asked him what he liked most, it was the various tasks and the events that he'd had an opportunity to be a part of, not only at the convention center but here, because whenever any of us have any kind of an event, we know that Mike is going to be there to make sure that it all comes off without a hitch and that everything goes well. Then also he said it's very neat, and and I can just imagine from facilities standpoint, the opportunity to watch a building, a new building, from the we're going to do it to here's who's going to do it to here we're moving into it. And so I think it's that whole just watching something grow from an idea to a ribbon cutting is something that he really enjoys about the job. When I asked him if there was anything else, again, he said that really there's only 2 Zamboni drivers left in the county. It's he and Randy Parks, and that he has really enjoyed working with David and with the whole court as he's had an opportunity to be here. Mike, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given it. Next is Ron Barker with the... is that Avon calling? Mom, yeah. Ron is with the Sheriff's Department, has been there for 20 years, is in the confinement area. He started out in the corrections area and has remained there the full 20 years. Started at Cold Springs, then went to the correction center, then to Green Bay, and is now back at Cold Springs. When I asked him about his more memorable moments, he remembered that one time, Cold Springs, we all think of Cold Springs as being kind of a minimum security, but that there was a time when there was a little disturbance out at Cold Springs where a couple of the almost two different gang type groups decided they wanted to mix it up between the two of them, and they were pulling them out of there right and left, I think. When I asked him what he liked most about the county, it was the security and the people that he'd had a chance to work with over the years. If I asked him if there's been anything else, he said, it has really been a great 20 years. Ron, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given us. Next is Letta Cook with CSCD. Letta's been with CSCD for 20 years. Started as a probation officer and now is a supervisor over quality development. When I asked her over more memorable moments, she just kind of went back and said, again, it was when she was working at the residential facility. She said there was just a lot of opportunities for memorable moments, I guess, is the way she put that at that point. When I asked her what she liked most, she said that she had really always liked the various jobs that she'd had in dealing with the probationers and the work that she's doing right now. One of the other things that she mentioned is that she had an opportunity to be a part and really to start the training academy in 2002, and that was something that had meant an awful lot with her. She worked 3 years, about 3.5 years, I guess, in Wichita County before she came down to Tarrant County. Never really expected to be here this long, and she said just, one day she woke up and, golly, it's been 20 years. And Lena, I tell you what, we appreciate very much, and we're glad that you spent 20 years with us. Next is Patricia Cannon with the 153rd District Court, celebrating again 20 years. Started with district clerk when Tom Hughes was the district clerk. Then I guess worked in from there worked in the drug and gang units. Then with Judge Young, worked as the auxiliary coordinator, really, and worked for all the judges at that point in time. And then went to work for Judge Curry. Did Judge Curry make it down here this morning? No, we're in trouble. I was going to give him a hard time. I told Patricia I've known Judge Curry for longer than either one of us want to admit, but he is a great individual, and I know you enjoy working for him. When I asked about the more memorable stories, she was one of these who kind of laughed, and she said, I really can't tell the stories because all of the people are still living. And she says, I do remember working in the courthouse when it really turned over from Democrat to Republicans, almost in an overnight type of a deal. When I asked her what she liked most, it was working with the public, being able to help people. She said it was one of the things that she's really enjoyed watching with Judge Curry is the way he mentors the interns. He brings interns in the summer and really works with them and mentors them. And I happen to know a couple of the interns who've gone through there, and they have said exactly the same thing that you did about how impressed they were. And then the fact, she said, we move a lot of cases, and she said, I really enjoy that part about my job. She actually transferred here from Eastland County, where she had worked for about 5 years. So you've given about 25 years to county government and 20 specifically to Tarrant County, and we're very, very appreciative. Thank you very much. Next is Sherry Gunn, Sheriff's Office in the county. Sherry, welcome. Sherry's been here, and I have been through many budget sessions with Sherry. Started out in the Sheriff's Office at Green Bay, working as a clerk there, and then moved downtown to take over payroll. Then into the budget office, and basically, while a lot of people may help build the budget, she's ultimately the one that catches most of the flack for it. And that I remember back, she's the one that we grilled for at least 4 to 6 years. She's now got a little help through, I guess, the bridge program, and has got some people kind of helping her a little bit. But Sherry has done worlds with our budget for many years. More memorable moments. She said, over the years she's had many up and down memories, I guess I would say, through that process. When I asked her what she liked most, she said, she's really grown up in Tarrant County, and that over the years she has developed many great relationships not only with within the Sheriff's Department, but also with other departments. Loves the people. Again, we kind of talked in terms of my background being Bean County and really enjoying the numbers. We love the numbers, and I think the thing that we sometimes love the most about the numbers is the ability of being able to go in and somebody come to us and say, well, we want to do this. And just because we know the numbers, sometimes we can find ways to work around and make things happen and be able to accomplish stuff. And I think that's something that those rare few of us, I say we're one step above the actuaries as far as the geeks go. But we really get off in being able to look at the numbers and make sense of it.
Is that a term of art?
That's just a term.
That's a technical term.
That's a technical term. It's a technical term. But when I asked her if there was anything else, she said she was very proud that she had gotten an opportunity to work with Tarrant County. And Sherry, I can assure you, we're very glad you worked for Tarrant County. Thank you very much. Next is Mary Owinski, Domestic Relations. There's Mary, back behind the camera. I think Mary's probably satisfied to be back there behind the camera. Started in the child support area and has been there for the entire time. She researches and makes sure everything kind of reconciles and is posted correctly, and handles the trust account until if money's come in and they can't really find the person, then basically she's there to hold on and to make sure everything's taken care of until they find the person. When I asked her about the more memorable moments, she said everything had changed a lot since she had been there. She said when she was hired, she was actually doing some repair work, house painting and repairs, and that one of her customers asked her if she wanted to work temporary in September of '89 for the county, and she came to work on a temporary basis, and then a month later was hired full-time, and she said she's been real glad of that. When I asked her what she liked most, she said it was the challenges of change and then also the technological changes that occurred, and then the people that she'd had a chance to work with. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said she was just really glad that she'd met that lady 20 years ago and that had that opportunity to come to work for Tarrant County. And I tell you what, we're very glad, too, that you came with us for 20 years. Next is Judy Jones with Public Health, 20 years.
She's not here. She's in the clinic giving shots.
Well, she had said that she wasn't sure she was going to be able to make it for that very reason. When she actually started, she started obviously at this time of the year, and she said I started in the height of flu season, and she said I'm still giving immunizations, and I guess she's in the Bedford area at this point in time. She said really the flu shots were a lot of fun.
Okay.
And she said the reason the flu shots were a lot of fun is that she started off giving them to children, and now she's giving them to those children's children. And that she literally, over the years, she sees the same families coming through the clinics and has an opportunity to see them on a almost a once-a-year type basis, and just has that opportunity to interact. And again, I think if you stop and think, that's what we say so many times, is the fact that we become a family and that we get to know the people that we deal with and that we bond with them and we have that relationship. When I asked her what she liked most, she said, I love the fact that it's regular hours, that there's, at least in her particular job, that there's no nights, weekends, or holidays. And so, she said, I enjoy seeing the people. And she says, I see some new people each day, but I also see some old friends. And that meant an awful lot to her. So tell Judy, if you see her today, that we appreciate the 20 years that she's given to Tarrant County. Next is Sergeant Jim Mills with the Sheriff's Department in the Lawrence area. There he is. There's Jim. Started out in the Cold Springs in one of the old temporary buildings. Then went to patrol in 92, was promoted to sergeant in 99, and then in 2006 went into the narcotics division. When I asked him about the more memorable moments, he said it was just kind of all the preparation and extended stuff that kind of went along with the Y2K deal. And for those of y'all who were here, we were all real nervous. We didn't know if what wasn't going to blow up at the end of 1999 when we shifted over. When I asked what he liked most, again, it was the stability of the job, but also the variety of the work that he had an opportunity to do. He said that the county had been good to him and that it had really been an honor to work for the county. And Jim, I tell you what, we appreciate the 20 years of service you've given to Tarrant County. Next is Vernon Pedigo with the Sheriff's Department in the booking area for 20 years. Started out at Cold Spring, again on the midnight. We had a lot of Cold Springs folks on this particular deal. Must have been when we opened it or did something along that lines. Then went to Green Bay on the midnight shift, and now is at the Corrections Center in the booking office. Asked him about the more memorable moments, and I remember him saying that without even pausing, it was that first night walking into the jail, and he said it was definitely a different feeling. And you can just imagine midnight shift, that would be one. When I asked him what he liked most, it was the job security. He said, I enjoy going to work and enjoyed getting up and every day coming to work and having an opportunity to be with the folks that he worked with and with Tarrant County. He said it was really an honor and a pleasure to work for the citizens of Tarrant County. And I tell you what, Vernon, we really appreciate the 20 years you've given us. Next is Sandra Peel Colwell with Sheriff's Administration, 20 years. There she is. Started out, was hired by Don Carpenter, Sheriff Carpenter, and worked in CID. Then went to work for David Williams as the Executive Secretary, and after some disagreement, we all had those. She said she was fortunate to move to the Green Bay facility. And she then said that the day that Dee Anderson came in, she moved back downtown and has been with Sheriff Anderson downtown ever since. As can be imagined, one of our more memorable moments was when Dee came on board. And then also moving into the new space, new offices over at Plaza. When I asked her what she liked most, she said it's never been dull. She says how one of the things, again, that she likes most, working for a normal sheriff. Now, I may have put a little bit of that in there. The great people that she's had a chance to work with and working with people who truly are proud to be a part of the Sheriff's Department. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said, you know, we have some great people who are working here and who are working to serve the people of Tarrant County. And I tell you what, Sandra, we count you as one of those people, and we appreciate you very, very much. Thank you. Next is Valerie Rikita, District Clerk's Office, 20 years. You look too young to have been at the county clerk or at the district clerk's office for 20 years. Started in the DA's office in the check and misdemeanor department, and then went to the district clerk's office in 1998. Started and is still in the accounting and trust section in that particular area. When I asked her what she liked most, it was the stability of the job, most of the people that she had to work for. And then there's always the boss.
You better quit ad-libbing.
Now, he's grinning. He knows that I'm ad-libbing. The variety, and then basically the variety of the different offices and how friendly everyone is that you know she has a chance to work with. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said, you know, I never really expected that I'd be here for 20 years. And I tell you what, Valerie, we're very glad that you are, and we hope that you'll be here for another 20 years. Thank you very much. Next is Jeff Rogers with Juvenile Services. There's Jeff. Jeff started out, Jeff, before he came to Tarrant County, he was in the military and was a federal agent for 7.5 years. Then came to the detention center and is now the operations manager in the detention area. When I asked him of his more memorable moments, he said it was the time that he had a chance to work with Jerry Wood, said he was a great, great mentor. And then also the transition into the new facility. When I asked him what he liked most, he said working nights originally, he was a little skeptical of that, but that he had really come to enjoy that. The stability and the opportunities that the county offered, and then the quality of the the people that he'd had a chance to work with. When I asked him if there'd been anything else, he said that he had really planned to be a State Department officer and ended up in the county and has really, really enjoyed the time that he spent with the county. He did mention that over the years he'd not had an opportunity to make his 5, 10, and 15-year anniversaries, and he's hoping that he can get a pin. So I'm hoping that Ann will be able to. I meant to call Ann. I'm going to tell you, Jeff, I meant to call Ann ahead of time and see about getting those pins. I didn't do that, so maybe if she doesn't have them with her, she'll take care of it there. So we'll take care of getting your pins. Jeff, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given us. Thank you. Next is Marilyn Spann, Public Health, 20 years. Started as an immunization nurse, now serves as the vaccine coordinator and is at the, I guess you're at the Main Street location at this time. More memorable moments. She said it was the back-to-back measles outbreak in 89 and 90 and the number of children that had not been immunized for that. And so it was just that whole process of going through that and doing that. Asked her what she liked most, and she said the ability to really be able to educate and to help people in the community. And again, over and over, I think what makes our county such a great place is employees who really do take such a pride in educating and in helping the community, and Marilyn is certainly one of those. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said that she was just very, very glad to be able to take care of first the children, and then, as I mentioned earlier, with one of the other employees, is again then their children as they've come through and continue to come through the area. She said she was really glad that she had an opportunity to work for the county. And Marilyn, we're very, very glad that you've been here for 20 years. Thank you very much. Next is Jermaine Woolridge, elections for 20 years. Welcome. Started in the election area and has been there really all but 5 months, and is currently doing, I guess, you do the election day polling places and coordinate the judges that work in all those places. When I asked her about her more memorable moments, she said, when I started in the county in 1989, I had a 4-year-old son. And today, she said, I have a 5-year-old daughter. Ooh. Goodness. I had that same reaction. And I'm just glad it's you. But you look very young, so obviously the children have not turned your hair gray like they've turned mine gray. She said she has worked for 2 great election administrators. She said, I really wasn't sure how somebody was going to be able to replace Robert, but she said Steve has been fantastic and that she's really enjoyed working for both of them. What does she enjoy the most? It's the public service. It's the opportunity to get a chance to work with our election judges and to be just a part of the whole election process. She said has really been an honor. And, I think we take the election process for granted so often in this country, but it is something that we should be, that we should feel real grateful for, and I'm sure working in that gives you that opportunity to kind of appreciate that. Jermaine, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given to Tarrant County. Next is Glenda Buchert, IT, 25 years. Started in the IT area as a receptionist and then moved up to programming for the mainframe, then to the hardware group, and is now back in the programming group as the manager for the criminal justice area. When I asked her about the more memorable moments, it was helping to move all of the PCs and getting things set up in the new Justice Center and Correction Center as they opened up. When I asked her what she liked most, she said that there's never a dull moment. Something's always happening, every minute of the day. But it's always fun, and she said also I enjoy the stability and the benefits. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said, again, when she was started there was only the mainframe, and you can just imagine now to what we've moved. And then also, and I think this really speaks back, think about where she started as the receptionist and where she is now. She said if it had not been for the county's tuition reimbursement program, she would not have had the opportunity to move up and to take care and advance herself through the county over the 25 years that she's been here. And I think that's something that we all need to look at and to realize and to encourage our employees to take advantage of and to make sure that we understand it's there. Glenda, we appreciate very much the 25 years you've given us. Now, next was Richard Dixon, but he was not going to be able to attend today. 25 years in CSCD. Next is Mike Fulton, CSCD for 25 years. There's Mike. Started out in the probation department, has been a court officer for most of the time, has spent time in the field, and is now with Judge Mitchell. When I asked about the more memorable moments, it was watching the Criminal Justice Center go up, and then also watching the changes in downtown and seeing the changes that have actually occurred in his own department. And when I asked him what he liked most, he said all of the neat people that he's gotten a chance to know over the years, that he's made some lifelong friends, and that it was really a family atmosphere that Tarrant County has had a chance to, that he's seen within Tarrant County. When I ask him about anything else, and this is something that I hear from the probation officers and then in our juvenile and some of those areas, it was the fact that he has had a chance to affect and feels like that he has really made an impact on people's lives. And just knowing the folks that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, I know that has to be kind of that shining, that hope, that kind of the hope on the horizon for those types of folks. When he came, he thought he might like to do this for a while. Wasn't sure that what a probation officer did at the beginning, but he's certainly glad that he stuck with it, and we're certainly glad too that you stayed with us for the 25 years, Mike. Appreciate it very much. Next is Lieutenant Mary Hendricks from Sheriff Confinement, 25 years. Started out in the jail and has been there the whole time. Started in the Belknap, and at that time I guess you had one half of the floor, and started on Halloween Day. I'm sure that was an interesting a start date. When I asked her about the more memorable moments, when she started, they didn't refer to the female officers as officers, they referred to the female officers as matrons. And so she can, that's one of the things she remembers. And then also moving into the new Belknap in 1985. When I asked her what she liked most, again, it was the people, the feeling that she could help people. And again, going back to trying to help those people that she came in contact with. She said it had been quite an experience, that she'd grown an awful lot with Tarrant County over the 25 years, and that she hoped to be here a lot longer. And I tell you what, Mary, we hope you're here a lot longer too. Thank you very much for that. Next is Diane Bounds, and she's with the county clerk's office. And she's shown as a 20-year, but she's actually had 30 years with the county. She's not going to be able to be here today. They're apparently rolling out a new program in the county clerk's office today, and so she wasn't going to be able to get away to get over here. But if you see Diane, be sure and tell her congratulations and thank her for the years that she's given us, given to Tarrant County. Next is Gail Hamilton with elections. Where's Gail? There's Gail. 30 years with the county. Started out as a temp in the tax office in the voters registration area, and that was in July of 1979. Stayed there until the election office was created in 1985, and has always worked in that area. I mean, you're one of the pillars in that particular area. More memorable moments was moving into the new offices, and from where you came to where you went, I can just imagine that was a very memorable moment. And then basically she said, every election has its own personality and is a little bit different. And she said over the years she's had an opportunity to see many elections and to think back over different things that have occurred. When I asked her what she liked most, she said the fact that for every election there's a beginning and there's an end. And you just know that eventually this one is going to end. And as having an opportunity to visit with election officers from around the country, and specifically one in Minnesota, I don't think they thought that Senate election was ever going to end in Minnesota. Also seeing the transition between Robert and Steve, again going back and different styles, but again very, very great people doing a great job. The people that she's had a chance to start with, when she started out it was a job, but very soon it developed into a real sense of family. And it's the family in the elections area that she's had a chance to work with. As she said, she's been in her position for 21 years and has enjoyed every bit of it. A lot of special people work for and volunteer with Tarrant County. Gail, we cannot tell you how much we appreciate the 30 years you've given to us. Thank you. And last but certainly not least is Lynn Willis with Juvenile Services, 35 years. Lynn started out, she was actually hired by Lynn Ross, started out as a probation officer in the intensive unit, then became the assistant supervisor, business manager, and then became basically the supervisor over all the administrative areas. When I asked her about her more memorable moments, she said it was really the creation of a lot of special programs with the community and working with other folks in the area. She did relate that there was a time when instead of having the court at the detention center, the court was down here. And so when someone was going to have to go to court, they would basically put them in the car, bring them down here, and take them to court. And she said she got down here one day and a girl that she was bringing down decided she was just going to take off and just bolted on her. And she said, we really never expected that. And she said, so here I am in high heels. This girl is just running down Belknap Street. And she didn't have on heels, so she was hoofing it. And fortunately, there was, I guess, a deputy that helped capture this girl as she was heading off down into the, the sunset at that point in time. Another memorable moment was just basically over the years that you've had a chance to work with a lot of kids. And again, we talked a few moments ago about those ones who turn it around, who work through the process, who listen, who take the advice, and really turn their lives around. And from time to time, they'll come back and they'll thank you. And I can imagine no more gratifying of a moment than when somebody appears at your door who you were hopeful and saw a lot of potential in, comes to you and thanks you for that opportunity and for the advice that you gave them. And I can imagine that would be certainly a memorable moment. When I asked her what she liked most, she said it was the openness and then the creative thinking that has gone on and has been a part of that juvenile department for so many years, the flexibility, the wonderful group of creative people that she's had a chance to work with, not only in the juvenile area, but really throughout the county. Lynn's involved in a lot of different things, not just in the juvenile area. I know she helps in a lot of other things. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said, the families of the parents, as she sits back and she thinks, she says, really our job is pretty easy. The families of the parents, we're going to try this again, the parents of the kids keep trying to do everything they can to help turn those kids around. And it's just so great to see that accomplished and to see that happen. Never really just expected to be here more than a couple of years, but I tell you what, we're certainly glad that you've spent 35 years with us. Thank you very much. Most months when we do this, we're usually looking at about 600, between 600 and 650 years. This year we had, or this month, we had a total of 855 years of service that we have recognized here today. Again, we cannot even begin to tell you. The words that we've said here, the recognition that we've given is absolutely nothing compared to the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. And we cannot begin to tell you how much we appreciate everything you do for not only the family here at Tarrant County, but also the citizens of Tarrant County that you have a chance to serve. So, again, thank you very much. Refreshments, 504C. We'll just kind of pause here a moment while y'all make your way back there. Thank you again. Yeah, if I had thought about it, we would have done purchasing first today, and we would have done it out of order and put purchasing first instead of putting it in the normal thing. About the time everybody started to exit, I realized that I had done messed
They're
up.
just down the hall. We can call them back.
No.
So Jack can close.
That's right. Next, we have a couple of resolutions.
Your Honor, I have a resolution honoring the centennial year of service in this community by Community Christian Church. It will be presented this coming Sunday. I ask its ratification.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next, we have a proclamation on National Fire Prevention Week, and I'll read it into the record. Whereas Tarrant County is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting our county, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at the greatest risk from fire, and whereas roughly 3,000 people die as a result of home fires and burns, and more than 200,000 individuals are seen in the nation's emergency rooms for burn injuries, and whereas the most burn injuries, thermal burns, outnumber scalds nearly 2 to 1, but for children ages 5 and under, scalds outnumber burns roughly 2 to 1. While cooking is the leading cause of home fires and home fire injuries, and heating equipment as well as smoking are the leading causes of home fire deaths, and whereas Tarrant County's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education, and its residents are responsive to public education measures and can take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire, and whereas in 2009 Fire Protection Week theme, Stay Fire Smart, Don't Get Burned, effectively serves to remind us all of the simple actions we can take to stay safer from fire during Fire Prevention Week and year-round. Therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby proclaim October 4th through 10th, 2009 as Fire Prevention Week throughout Tarrant County, and urge all the people of Tarrant County to protect their homes and families by heeding the important Fire Prevention Week safety messages, and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of Tarrant County Fire and Emergency Services. In witness whereof, we have heretofore set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed the 6th day of October, 2009. Move its approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And Randy, you're going to, I think, make a few comments.
Yes, sir. I want to thank the court for the proclamation, let you know that many of our cities tonight will be celebrating, I forgot what it is.
National Night
National Night Out. Thank you. There's too many N's in there. National Night Out. Some of our cities, just to let you know, also have postponed tonight's get-together to next week because of the possibility of rain and thunderstorms. But it's an opportunity for the citizens of Tarrant County to get out and visit with the police departments, also visit with the fire departments. And a lot of the focus on the fire prevention this year has been on the home because there's a lot of fires in the homes. There's a lot of burn injuries. So a lot of the prevention material that we have deal with those items. And I want to thank the court. They've always been good about supporting our fire departments in Tarrant County. And we hope that if you have a chance to go to some activity this week, we encourage you to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Court members, next you have before you the consent agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have a public hearing today. Are you going to take care of that, Mr. Manius?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Members of the court, today we have a public hearing concerning the the annual plan for the preservation and restoration of records of the records archives for the county clerk's office. This notice has been published according to statutory requirements, and we ask that you hold a public hearing at this time.
I'll open the public hearing at this time and ask if there's anyone here wishing to speak to this matter. There appearing none, then I will close the public hearing.
Members of the court, we request that you approve the plan as submitted.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the court, we go to the administrator section now. On item number 1, we're requesting that the court approve the letter of engagement between Tarrant County and KPMG to serve as the county's outside auditor for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2009.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Member of the court, on item number 2, it's that time of the every other year again. This is a resolution concerning the nomination of 5 candidates for positions on the TAD board. In your court communication, you see those individuals who are currently serving. Also, Ms. Price, our tax assessor collector, serves as an ex officio non-voting member of that board. There are a total of 5,000 votes that can be cast on this particular activity. Tarrant County can cast, I believe, 617 of those votes. We're not asking for any action today, but we need to do that by next week. So we're simply laying this out for you to consider. And if there are any nominations that you would like to make, if you'll simply let our office know, we will bring that list back to you next week for action. The thing is that next week is the 13th, and we have to have this action in by the 14th. So this is the nomination part of that. We'll then receive the ballots and do the election basically at the end of this calendar year. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that the court might have at this time. If there are none, Your Honor, if we could move to item number 3. Members of the court, we're requesting that the Commissioners' Court approve the issuance of tax-exempt Series 2009 revenue bonds of the Tarrant County Cultural Education Facilities Finance Corporation to Tarrant County Senior Living Center in an amount not to exceed $180 million. This is to fund activities as it relates to approximately 188 independent living units, 42 assisted living units, 20 memory support units, and 46 nursing beds, including all the common areas. This is the Staten at Museum Way, which is located at 2501 Museum Way in Fort Worth. We have received the application fee. There is a letter in regards to our hub policy, and also we have been advised that there are no restrictions on the property which would restrict the current or future use of the property for either health or governmental services.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Who is building this?
It's called the Tarrant County Senior Living Center Incorporated, and the facility is the Staten at Museum Way.
Okay, and again, I want to make sure, going back, I know you made the statement that this land is in no way encumbered for. My question, as it usually pertains to this, is there an entity who is requesting this who has imposed restrictions on other property within Tarrant County?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor. I can.
Because as you'll recall, what happened, the example that I'll use in the past is that HCA was asking us for something in one particular area of the county, and they had imposed limitations on our ability to use property in another part. And so I just want to make sure that whoever it is that's developing this or requesting this is not imposing restrictions upon land within any other land within Tarrant County, the use of any other land within Tarrant County.
To my knowledge, no.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much, Mr. Brown. Any other question? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Because that is a question that has come up previously, is that something that we should put on a checklist for people before it comes before us?
Probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
That's something that we ask each one of the issue is that there are normally the Tarrant County entity that did this particular transaction is one we deal with. We deal with others also, but we always ask that question before it comes to court.
Well, if they asked me, I would say not to my knowledge, but should there be something more than just saying an individual does not have knowledge? Should there be some verification process?
If we can, I mean, I'd like to put that on there as a checkoff box that basically just says we don't, we haven't sold property within Tarrant County upon which we've put restrictions.
How about if we simply get a letter from them stating that? Because we really don't have it.
A letter's fine.
Form that we provide these individuals.
Letter's fine.
Okay.
Ms. Tidwell.
This morning, we're asking the Commissioners Court to receive and file the auditor's report on the tax office over and double payable general ledger account. And in simplistic terms, the ledger account is your controlling accounts payable account that we'd like reconciled to the subsidiary accounts payable account, which is really the tax 2004. A lot of fee offices, including my own office, have accounts from time to time that haven't been reconciled for extended periods. It becomes a burden to do that, to go back and sort through how it got to this point. I believe there's some agreement that a lot of this, if not most of it, started back when the tax office converted to the current system that they have many years ago. But we will continue to work with the tax assessor to, in their new general ledger conversion and throughout, to identify and reconcile. It's a fairly high volume account, and anytime you have an account that isn't reconciled and can't be reconciled, then in my mind it makes me a little nervous about what could be hiding there, or someone could put things there possibly that is going on currently and we wouldn't be able to. They're monitoring it, and so in theory you'd see it, but still we'd like to see it reconciled.
So did you say this will go back to 2004?
It actually would probably go back before that. It would go back to the system of tax 2000.
And that's the plan?
Yeah, well, I'm saying that's where some of the outages may have occurred. They may have occurred many years ago. As far as reconciling, to me, the way that works is you go back as far as you feasibly can till you get to some number that remains constant that you can identify, and then you can evaluate whether or not you need to continue looking. So it's a time-consuming process, but we feel it really needs to be
Move
done.
to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file. Any other questions or discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Let's see. Ms. Glenn?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We just have one item for the court this morning, and I'm surprised you guys didn't get to it before I did, but we're asking the court to receive and file the personnel agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Would you show on that vote that Commissioner Fickus was not in the room at that time?
I believe that purchasing is next.
We don't want to get
Can't find anything else
Your Honor, we'd like to take care of our one business item first, if we could. We just have one item this morning.
Before we do that, could I ask Betsy and Lisa and Debbie and Carolyn and GK to come up with your towels and appropriate things? I don't want y'all to miss having an opportunity to be on camera here.
And now, these are one-day hog fans, McMillan, Price, Schneider, and one-day boss hog, Manius. had forgotten how,
Can we,
I had forgotten how intense the rivalry was.
Can we use this to blow our nose for swine flu?
Dr. Parker's here to treat you. I'd actually forgotten how intense the rivalry was for a couple of minutes, and really, I went to Renee Lamb's office yesterday. I said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" She said, "Are you kidding me? They're going to work you over if the shoe really is." So reality did set back in quickly. Our wager is at Pell, but the barb started pretty quick. The guy sitting behind me was wearing their colors, and he said, "Why don't y'all just go home to your mobile homes and go to bed?"
That was in the first 3 seconds of the ball game.
Yes, sir.
He got real quiet after about the first minute, didn't he?
I didn't have to respond, but I did. And I asked him, I turned around and said, "Are you an A&M or a high school graduate?" He said, "A&M class of 2005. I said, "Really?" I said, "Do you know how to get an Aggie off your porch?" "Why don't you tell me?" "Pay him for the pizza."
It wasn't part of the deal that you actually talked.
That's always the deal. But honestly, though, if you've not been to the stadium, it's a beautiful facility. And the fans from both schools, it was truly a college atmosphere. So if you've not gone, go once or more. Everybody spent a lot of money, and we're going to reciprocate for the next 9 years. We'll be back up here again. But seriously, this probably is an appropriate day to say thank you for letting us have some fun and do our jobs, too. It means a lot. This is a perfect day for that. But it was an excellent game, and
What was the crowd number?
Would y'all stand up just a minute?
We just want you to...
Come on, just stand up. Just stand up. You lost the bet. Just stand up. All right. Come on, Debbie Sue. All right.
we do just have one business item for your consideration this morning. That is a bid award recommendation for our bid number 2009-153. It's an annual contract for lime slurry and hydrated lime. Recommendation will be toward the Chemical Lime Limited on a part-time price basis.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Our next, do I have to put it back on?
I'm going to be a gracious winner, but, I love winning.
She told me that her mother had taught her to be a gracious winner, but she was having a little trouble with that.
I'm struggling today.
Well, our Director of Field Operations was, our former one at Precinct 3 was a little bit of an Aggie, and she told me that he was pretty cocky about the first 5-6 minutes of the game and called her, but then all of a sudden his phone must have gone dead because he wouldn't answer the phone.
Answering service for the rest of the game. All right, back to business. I'm up here today to ask that Commissioners Court approve an interlocal agreement with Crowley Independent School District for the installation of a traffic signal at the intersection of FM 1187 and McCart Street. Crowley ISD is working with TxDOT for this signal, and they've asked us to be the local partner, and that's what this agreement is a response to.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
My second item is directly related to the first. This is the agreement with TxDOT in order to carry out the installation of the traffic signal. We will receive monies. We have received the monies from Crowley ISD, and we'll forward that to TxDOT with this agreement.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. My third and last item today is a request that Commissioners Court approve an agreement in respect to condemnation of land with Harloo Limited Partnership and Marianne Brants is to acquire property along Robertson Road in Precinct 4. We also ask that court authorize our staff to perform the necessary duties to carry out the provisions of this agreement.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Is that right?
I will move approval of item 9K, 1A and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Ray, I am assuming that those have been looked at. Oh, yes. Are there any appointments today? Hearing none, then you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. We have one item we'd like to bring to you this morning. This is a continual update on the H1N1 influenza. Ms. Brewer here is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning.
And
Good morning.
Parker.
Dr. Parker is with me this morning. We have 3 vaccination efforts going on right now. The first one is still the back-to-school immunizations. Despite passing 2 deadlines, one of which was an extension, we still have a number of parents getting immunizations for their children to go back to school. We are working with the school health nurses to arrange for some additional events so that we can get that addressed, we hope, this week. Because our second event, which you know has been going on since about September 1st, is our seasonal flu event. We have done 9 special events out in the community during the month of September. We did a little over 2,000 vaccines. That's a little lower than we normally get in our events, but we started early, and despite all the publicity, I think we still have people that were waiting for October. So we do have that seasonal flu vaccine in our clinic locations, and we encourage people who are in the at-risk groups to please seek out their private providers or our clinics for their seasonal flu vaccine.
Excuse me, Lou, let
Yes.
me interrupt you. And that is a statement that the first event is crowding out people in the second
Yes.
event.
Yes.
Those parents who have waited till the last minute to get their children immunized, and even waited till the last minute of the extension to get their kids immunized, are crowding out people in our public health clinics who would be there to get their seasonal flu immunization shot. And there seems to be something wrong with that kind of a priority. We as a community ought to be focusing on getting people their flu shots. Instead, we're having to deal with people who should have taken care of their business early. I've had some people call my office who have said they could not get in to get their flu shot because the line was wrapped around the building for people trying to get their kids immunized. And that's not acceptable.
Lou, is there something that changed this year that caused this to...
Yes. You know, we always have people that wait till late. But this year, what really added to that was there were several new requirements to be in school. And despite, publicity earlier in the year, that apparently caught some parents off guard. Many places are experiencing that.
I understand one of your clinics basically had given out the little tabs for all of their days' worth of injections by about 8:30 or 8:45 yesterday morning.
Yes. Yes.
Are we seeing the same? And again, most of these are the vaccination.
Well, we are trying to give the seasonal flu, so it was a mix of both seasonal flu and the back to school. But as I said, we're working with the school health nurses this week, and we hope that we can get some additional activities done this week specifically for those people that need those back-to-school vaccines away from the clinic so that by next week we hope this problem will be resolved. Because we agree with you completely, Commissioner.
Are we hearing any excuses that are unusual offered by the parents?
Not that are unusual.
Really?
And this is the first time they've given a hard and fast deadline. Either you get your shots by X date or your kid can't come to school.
They've extended it before,
but I'm not aware of a second extension. Now, maybe that's happened in the past, but I'm not aware of
Well, in the
that.
past, it's been usually, if you don't have it by the start of school, your child doesn't come to school.
That's correct. So we're talking about in August,
Yeah.
when the original deadline occurred.
So Lou, are you finding that these are just Tarrant County parents, or are you finding people coming from out of county for these shots?
We've actually had some phone calls last week. We had a number of irate people calling us, just demanding that we, do more than we were already doing to get their back-to-school immunizations. We had people calling from other counties saying that they were at our clinic and were very upset that we weren't giving them their back-to-school immunizations. And we had some unfortunate confrontations in a couple of our clinics.
Thank you.
All right. We are giving our seasonal flu vaccine to employees. We have 8 dates that have been announced in this month of October and 9 locations for seasonal flu vaccine for Tarrant County employees. And this past Saturday, we gave over 500 seasonal flu vaccines at our Carnaval de Salud. All right. Our next effort, the third effort, of course, as you know, is the H1N1. And yesterday, we did receive a shipment of Flu Mist vaccine, and Dr. Parker is here to talk to you about that distribution plan. Thank you.
Good morning.
Tarrant County Public Health did receive a small quantity, 500 doses of the H1N1 2009 monovalent vaccine in the live attenuated influenza vaccine preparation. Because this is such a small amount that will not reach very far, we are positioning this vaccine in the community to target administration to well children aged 24 to 47 months of age and the healthcare workers that provide services to this pediatric population. We are ready to distribute the vaccine to JPS and Cook Children's Community Provider Network for use. We will also be conducting vaccination of children living in the local homeless shelters. Persons to receive the live attenuated influenza vaccine, also called LAVE, must be healthy, meaning not having any underlying medical conditions, and not pregnant. These persons cannot live or work with a severely immunocompromised individual. We do not know when we will receive any additional vaccine, nor what preparation or type will be received next, but we are anticipating additional vaccine later this month as previously reported. Once available, we will begin administering the vaccine to the target groups first and then to the remainder of the community. Tarrant County Public Health plans include working closely with our community partners regarding vaccine administration, as well as providing the vaccine through our public health centers, temporary storefront venues, and as well as community events.
So right now, we've got 500. You're distributing that to healthcare workers who are basically giving the doses to then the children who are between 24 and 47 months?
We are actually distributing it to the JPS Health Network and
Okay.
Cook Children's Community Provider Network for distribution to the pediatric population,
Okay.
targeting the 24 to 47 month-old children, as well as healthcare workers who serve the pediatric population who otherwise qualify for the vaccine. As you know, I just read a number of limitations regarding the use of this live attenuated virus vaccine. So that doesn't mean that it's available to everyone, but to people who do qualify.
And then, as you said, you're expecting more. Were you really even expecting the 500 to show up yesterday?
Well, yes and no. Yes, in that you hear a lot of things in the media about some vaccine may be available, but no, we were not expecting to receive this vaccine yesterday. This is not part of the vaccine that we ordered. This is in addition to that. Honestly, what I think was happening is that they were testing the system, the ordering system that's in place in Texas and other areas, and We received the vaccine as a result of this. We welcome it, and we are going to use it and get it out there in our communities because that's what we need to do. But no, we were not
So
expecting
you
to
received
receive
no
it yesterday.
notification from either the state or the feds or anybody else that this was coming?
No, we did not until we received it.
So we just hope as a test they knew they were sending it here and didn't think they were sending it someplace else.
Well, well, but it's here now, and we're going to use it. That's
Right.
it.
Okay. Other comments or any other information that you want to share with
Let
us?
me just add to that, excuse me. Let me just add to that on a
Would
conference
you
call.
come to the mic?
On a conference call with the state yesterday about this, we were told that this is probably how we're going to be getting the rest of our vaccine that we did order. That will come in small amounts, and we may not know when it's coming until it shows up on our doorstep.
How much did we order? Do you recall right offhand?
25,000 doses.
And we got 500.
No, I want to clarify, 25,000 doses was the initial order. In all of the conversations with the state and the federal government, they said order early and order often. So we put in an initial order for 25,000 doses with plans to order additional vaccine as we need it. We did not, again, this 500 that we received yesterday was not a part of our allotment that we ordered.
Okay.
And that's just us, public health. That's not all of the other providers.
So there are other providers in the community that have received it as well.
Oh,
You don't know that?
that have received it?
Uh-huh.
I don't know that.
Okay.
So again, what we're saying is, one, we received 500, which we didn't, it was not a part of our original order of 25,000. We have ordered 25,000 as our initial order. That is just for Tarrant County Public Health. Cook's ordered, all of the primary care physicians, the pediatricians, all these folks may have their own initial orders in. So in no way are we implying that 25,000 is all that was ordered for the entire
That's
population of
correct.
Tarrant County.
That's correct.
And we've received 500. Do we know for certain or not that 500 didn't show up at some pediatric office? We know Cook's didn't receive any. I'm assuming we know that JPS did not receive any. But we don't know about other hospitals and or other health care
That
providers.
is correct.
Okay.
It's just what I said.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to be sure I understood that. Anybody else have any other questions? Thank you all very much for staying on top of all
Do
that.
you have any pending tests at this time, suspected H1N1 at this time?
Any samples you're testing?
Well, we're testing
Constantly
samples
testing.
every day.
Your Honor, that's all we have at this time.
Okay, at this time, the Commissioners' Court will now recess open session and proceed to closed session to discuss items exempted under Sections 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code. Having returned from closed session and there being no business to consider at this time, we are adjourned.
Okay.